Hi there, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to sew these 3-strap bikini bottoms. So they have 3 straps on the sides here. So I did a video on how to make the pattern for these a while back, so I will include the link for that in the description and somewhere up here where you can find that. So if you want to watch the video on how to make the pattern first, then go ahead and check that out first and then come back to the video. So in that video, I said that I was going to make this video on how to actually sew the bottoms, but I completely forgot and thankfully got a comment from Kimberly basically calling me out that I had never made this video. So here we are. Thank you, Kimberly. I'm going to be making this video today. So I hope that you enjoy, and let's go ahead and get started making these bikini bottoms. Okay, so I have here the pattern for these strappy bottoms. So this is the exact same pattern that we made in the last video. And then I have my fabrics that I'm going to be using. So this is going to be my main outer fabric, and then this is going to be my lining. The method that I'm using today is going to be reversible, so if you do want to choose 2 different swim fabrics instead of the lining, or use the same fabric on both sides as the lining and the outer fabric, you can, because it will be reversible. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and cut my swimsuit out. So I'm just going to cut one of each piece in the lining and the main fabric. So these are both going to be cut on the fold. Let's start with the outer fabric. Alright, so I have my swimsuit front and back cut out in my main fabric and my lining. So now I'm going to cut out 6 strips of fabric that are 6 inches long by 1 1/4 inches wide, and these are going to be my straps for the bikini bottoms. So I just want to make sure that I cut them on grain so that the grain is going up and down the strap and the direction of greatest stretch is going lengthwise down the strap. So once again, I'm going to cut 6 straps, which is going to be 3 for each side of the bikini bottoms, and I'm going to cut them 6 inches long and 1 1/4 inches wide. Okay, so I've got my 6 straps cut out, and now it is time to start putting together this swimsuit. So I'm going to start with my straps actually. I just like putting together my straps first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the straps long ways, so hot dog direction, and I'm just going to serge these 2 edges together. So I'm going to do that on all of the straps, and I'm also going to go back over my serging and add in elastic over my original serging, because it's pretty important to include elastic, especially on something like this where these straps are going to be a key component in actually holding up your swimsuit. So it's better to have elastic when it's that important that the straps maintain their shape over time. So like I said, I'm going to go to the serger. I'm going to fold the straps long ways, right sides together. I'm going to serge the raw edges together right along the edge, 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to go back over and add swimwear elastic over that original stitching. Alrighty, so I have my straps all sewn up, so now I just need to turn them right sides out. So I'm just going to use a loop turner and turn these straps right sides out. Alrighty, so our straps are ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and just set these aside for now, and let's start putting together the actual swimsuit. So I'm going to unfold the lining. Okay, so I'm going to place the lining with the front facing right sides up, and then I'm going to grab the back and match it up with right sides down, so the right sides are facing together. And then I'm going to pin the crotch seam. Alrighty, so the crotch seam of the lining is pinned. Here's what it looks like from the front. So then I'm going to do the same thing with this outer fabric. So I've got the bottom, or the back, I've got the back with the outer fabric here, and now I'm going to grab the front, and I'm going to place them right sides together, match up the crotch seam, and I'm going to pin the crotch seam. Alright, here we go. So we have the lining and the outer fabric right sides together with the crotch seams pinned. So I'm going to take these to the serger, and with the outer fabric I'm just going to serge right across the crotch seam there, and with the lining I'm going to serge across it, but I'm going to leave about a 1.5 inch opening here in the center of the crotch seam, because we need somewhere where we can turn the swimsuit back to the right side after we're done putting everything together. So that hole is how we're going to turn everything right sides out at the end. Okay, so I have the crotch seams sewn right sides together, and you can see here I left an opening in the crotch seam of the lining only, not in the outer fabric, only the lining. And this is how we're going to turn the swimsuit right sides out at the end. So next, let's grab the lining suit and go ahead and turn it so that the right side is facing up. Here we go. And then we're going to take our outer fabric and we're going to lay it down on the lining with the right sides down. So they're right sides together, the lining and the outer fabric. And I've got the fronts matched up with the front and the back matched up with the back, and I'm going to go ahead and pin the lining to the outer fabric around this leg curve, both leg curves, as well as the front waistline and the back waistline. So I'm going to leave just these side openings unpinned. I'm just pinning the leg openings as well as the waistlines. Okay, so I have the leg openings and the waistlines pinned together, right sides together. So now I'm going to take this to the serger and I'm just going to serge them together at all the areas that we just pinned. So I'm going to serge along both leg curves and both waistlines, and I'm leaving these side openings unsewn. Alright, so I've got the lining and the outer fabric sewn together around the leg openings and the waistlines. Here's what it looks like up close. So the right sides are encased inside of this swimsuit right now. So next what I'm going to do is take this back to my serger and I'm going to go ahead and sew in some swimwear elastic into all of the areas that we just sewed. So both of these leg openings as well as both of the waistlines. So I'm just going to sew the elastic directly over where we just sewed, so right along the edge of the fabric, and going right over the original serging. And I'm not going to stretch the elastic as I sew, I'm just going to hold it taut. I don't want it all loose. I'm just going to hold the elastic just taut enough that it goes through the machine with a little bit of tension. So I'm going to go ahead and take this to the machine and do that, and then I'll bring it back for the next step. Okay, so the elastic is sewn in to all of these openings, and so here's what it looks like. So there's now elastic inside of this serging. So like I said, I just applied the elastic all on the outer fabric side, so it's not on the lining side, it's on this side. I just wanted to be consistent, so I did it on the outer fabric side on all of the openings, and I just applied it right along the edge of the fabric and went right over my previous serging. Let's take a look at the front here. So this is the front of the suit, and we're going to start putting in our straps. So I'm just going to put one of the straps into the swimsuit. And I'm just going to allow a little bit to stick out, about a 1/4 inch beyond the fabric of the bikini bottoms, so it's sandwiched in between the lining and the outer fabric. So my first one I like to put right along this bottom serging, so I'm going to go ahead and pin this one in place. And then I'm going to put another one along this top edge of serging. So once again, putting it in between the lining and the outer fabric and letting it extend out of the swimsuit by about a 1/4 inch. And then pinning it in place. Now for the center strap, if you want to be really specific with it, you can measure in from each side and make sure you get it right in the center. That's definitely the most advisable way to do it, because then you'll end up with everything being perfectly even, but I'm just gonna eyeball it, so. So once again, it's in between the lining and the outer fabric. I'm gonna get it as close to the center of this opening as I can. That looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to pin it in place. Alright, there's one side. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. Alright, so my 3 straps are pinned on this side and the other 3 straps are pinned on the other side of just the front, so we're not doing anything to the back. These are still open. So now I'm going to take this to my serger and I'm going to sew through all the layers, so the lining, the outer fabric, and the straps. I'm just going to sew right across both of these sides here. So I'm just going to serge those all together through all of the layers. Okay, so those straps are sewn in. So here's what the front looks like now. It's all enclosed at this point. So now what we're going to do is turn everything right sides out. I'm going to go ahead and pull it right sides out through this hole. Those cute straps. Alrighty, so here's how it looks now. So now I'm going to flip it to the lining side, and I'm going to turn it inside out again through this hole. So this is just going to basically bring the front inside of the back. So they're going to be right sides together. So then you can basically look through these sides and get everything laying nice and flat. You want to make sure there's not any twists in the front, because we want to get it lined up with the back with right sides together. So you want to make sure that the lining side of the front is facing towards the lining side of the back, and the outer fabric sides are also matched up. So here's what we've got. So you can see here, this is how the front looks. So we're going to push it back inside the back, just far enough that the straps are sticking out by just a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to pin that. And let's do the next one. You do want to make sure that you don't get the straps twisted. Make sure that everything is laying flat and that the middle strap is in the middle on both pieces. Alright, so that's the straps pinned on the back on that side. So now I'm going to do the other side. So the straps are pinned on the back here. Made sure that nothing is twisted, so when we turn everything right sides out, everything should be good and flat. That's the most important thing, is just double checking and triple checking, making sure that the front is not twisted and making sure that the straps are not twisted. So now I'm going to take this to the serger, and just like we did with the front, I'm just going to sew through all the layers, the lining, the outer fabric, as well as the straps, along here and here. Okay, so the straps are sewn into the back as well now. So here's what we've got now. The front is encased inside the back. The only opening we have is just this opening in the crotch seam. So we're going to go ahead and turn the swimsuit right sides out through this opening. And voila, here it is. So the very last thing that you would have to do is then go back in with a hand sewing needle and just hand sew this opening closed. Or you could just go ahead and go over it with your sewing machine with the zigzag stitch. That'll show. So if you want it to be invisible, and if you want it to be actually reversible, then you'll have to hand sew it closed, but that's up to you. So that is pretty much all there is to it. So I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.